The game is changing, now.
In 2004, economists Harold Kohl and Leo Ohanian published an article in the prestigious Journal of Political Economy13 that was lauded by Nobel Laureate Robert E. Jr. as exciting and valuable research that recast our understanding of the Great Depression of the 1930s. 14 The exercise was not just academic because understanding the past hopefully will enable us to avoid making the same mistakes again. A significant finding of the research was summarized by Professor Kohl. The fact that the Depression dragged on for years convinced generations of economists and policymakers that capitalism could not be trusted to recover from depressions and that significant government intervention was required to achieve good outcomes. Ironically, our work shows that the recovery would have been very rapid had the government not intervened. 15 Fast forward to 2008, as a result of years of arm-twisting from Capitol Hill and various occupants of the White House to make housing affordable, banks and mortgage brokers who caved to the political pressure found themselves in a bit of a pinch. The house of cards that had underpinned their success to date, namely, a short-sighted faith in continued appreciation of housing values, was starting to collapse. It started with the subprime mortgage market. But rather than recognizing this for what it truly was, namely, a pool of mortgages that constituted about 15% of total mortgages where only 20% were in serious payment arrears, more than 3 or 4 months behind in payments, the Chicken Littles put this together with a few other bad decisions by some large companies and sounded the alarm. 3 to 4% of the mortgage market that was concentrated in the highest risk group would normally not seem to constitute a crisis worth summoning the financial equivalent of the horse cavalry, but the call went out for the entire Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. From a macroeconomic standpoint, this was a mere blip in the economy, but none of that matters if your company has a lot of wealth tied up in that particular blip. And, if your company has a lot of political clout and friends in high places, well, you know what happened. A few years prior, the 7th largest company in the United States, Enron, had imploded and had been allowed to fail. Now, the worry was that there might be some more failures. Indeed, some did pay the price, Intimac Bank, Bear Stearns, and Lehman Brothers, but others, still standing, albeit with their pants down around their ankles, made the desperate call to be saved from their past missteps. Let's face it, too many of these strategically placed folks had abandoned good management practices and basic common sense and succumbed to the allure of questionable accounting practices and flim-flam leveraging in their appeasement of pressure from Capitol Hill to make housing affordable and in their ubiquitous quest to make a quick buck. They had been caught. And they knew the market would render summary judgment and mete out uncompromising punishment. They knew that there were long-established and robust institutions in place to deal with them. Takeovers of depreciated assets by others occur all the time subsequent to bad decisions or bad luck. Failing that, bankruptcy laws have evolved over decades to handle these situations in an orderly but predictable way that minimizes the impact on the rest of the economy. There simply was no good reason from a macroeconomic point of view at that time for anyone to panic. 16 Those who were panicking were trying to save their own skins and had a vastly inflated view of their importance in the overall scheme of the economy, and they found friends in the highest places. Once Treasury Secretary Paulson got on board, President Bush was not far behind. Both chorused the "sky is falling" refrain and promised swift remedies. Now, most of us were on the outside looking in. Those at the highest levels of government were clearly panicking. Some possibly believed that the crisis was indeed severe and that we were on the brink. Others, in a cynical power grab, went to great lengths to recast their past complicity in overtly pressuring lenders to issue risky mortgages and tried to pin all of the blame on free markets. The cacophony from the banks of the Potomac was heard across the country, and folks rightfully grew uneasy. People reacted rationally by battening down the hatches and preparing for the rainy day. Large purchase decisions were delayed, spending was curtailed. Banks and lenders normally would adjust and tighten lending procedures, but the noises from Washington, D.C., on how the government would react to all of this were ones nobody had heard before. That added even more uncertainty to the mix, and the credit markets rationally decided to put decisions on hold until they could figure out what was going to happen. That signal was generally misinterpreted as further evidence that the economy was on the brink, resulting in still more panic, and a recession was born. Basically, the recession was caused by policymakers who possessed the lethal combination of ignorance regarding the overall and strategically complex ways that markets work, combined with unflagging egos that they alone know how to make things right. It helps that in the process they are saving their own hides.